to set an example for strong women in our society, because a lot of the times when a woman doesn't have money, she lacks a lot of power.
Exactly.
Ourselves to be our own independent women. You do not need to
Rely
on a man for everything. People separate, the woman starts to cry.
and she gets stranded.
But you've had your whole life to build yourself, and this is why I said it's important to have a supportive partner. Not to say you should prepare for the worst, but just hide it like this, like make sure it doesn't show.
You don't have your phone with you, yeah? You don't have your phone with you?
No.
Okay, great.
It's gone off.
Just making sure so that it doesn't ring or vibrate. So when they say action, we're just going to start with catching up, and then from there I'll lead us.
Lead the whole way. I don't mind. I'll just be here answering. I'm your guest. This is your show.
Oh, you've already started. Okay. Hi, Gladys.
Hi, babe. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Fine, Musa. I'm so proud of you. This is amazing. The podcast, everything.
Really?
Goals.
I'm proud of you too.
Thank you.
You know, Gladys and I, this is for you guys to know, Gladys and I come a long, long way.
Yes, yes.
Do you know the most prominent memory I have of us?
I think I have a feeling.
Wait, what is it?
Sleeping at Unza. I don't know if we were like working. I don't know what was it, the Whiskey show?
I have no idea. No, it wasn't the Whiskey show. It was some activation. I just don't remember. But we used to do some activations.
A lot of them. I remember we did Strongbow together quite a bit.
Yeah, we did a lot. Jameson.
Yes.
I remember the last I remember was the one we did at the kids, the older kids.
Yes.
At that club there.
Yes.
They removed. I just don't remember the name, but they changed it.
That activation was something else.
I remember how we used to stand. We stand for so many hours
and
on
get
heels,
tired.
promoting.
And that day I was so tired. I was like, oh my god, you know what? Like my heels hurt.
Yeah.
We've been through a lot.
We used to try. We used to try and hustle. I'm so proud of us. Speaking of the memory.
Yeah.
I think we're about how many? The 5 of us or 4 of us sleeping on an unza bed. You know how small an unza bed is?
And we just didn't care. Like,
and it
was just like, you know what? We're tired. Let's just sleep, have fun. And I think that's what like being young is about. It's not really about caring. It's about going for your dreams and being around your friends and having fun. I was just happy I was with my friends.
Yeah, that's what really did count. But then look at you now. You're a whole wife, a whole mom of twins.
Yes.
An entrepreneur, and you're pursuing a doctorate. Gladys, what aren't you doing? What haven't you done?
Maybe flying to the moon. No, Monday. But I am trying. I feel like as women, we owe it to ourselves to try. We owe it to ourselves to try to go after what fuels our hearts, what passions we have. You just have to go for it. And I think that's why I actually went for Miss Africa. You know, I wanted to prove something for myself.
And you're still married then, yeah?
No, I wasn't married.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't married when I went for Miss Africa. I was seeing my husband, but I wasn't married. And he was so supportive. He was like, yeah, you know, just go for it. You do what you have to do. And I think also as women, it's important to have somebody who supports you in what you're trying to achieve, not somebody who tears you down. Because if they don't support you, you might not actually realize your full potential.
Exactly. Yeah. I like that you touch a little bit on that, because that's what we're actually talking about today. So for our viewers, welcome to One Wife to Another. This is a podcast that's a safe and honest space for modern women, especially Gen Z and millennial wives. You know, someone has to come. They can come and join us. You can come and say hi.
It's just my friend. She just wants to like listen in on the conversation.
Sure, she can come in. Come in. You can come and take a seat. Yeah, so as I was saying, you know, this is a space where we can actually talk about the real challenges that are happening in marriage, you know, talk about finding your own identity, talking about just literally everything in between, but then in a more positive way, as opposed to how social media is trying to push a negative narrative
on marriage.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You don't see nowadays people really highlight.
Is it on TikTok?
Not just everywhere. I see a few good stories about marriage.
True.
People only want to highlight what's really bad about marriage.
Yeah.
Discouraging people from getting married. Yeah. And I feel like it shouldn't be like that. marriage is a very good thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's a union if properly taken care of.
Yes,
together.
It's a vocation like any other.
Exactly. And for today, we're going to be talking about building your own identity aside from your marriage and aside from your husband, your family, just creating a you version. And today I have a powerhouse with me, Gladys.
Oh,
So
thank
hi
you.
again.
Hi.
In your own words, introduce yourself to our viewers.
Okay, my name is Gladys Kayumba Sowden. I am a mother of two lovely children. I have twins, a boy and a girl. Thank God. I am a businesswoman. I own the African Aesthetic Spa, and the reason why I chose to do this sort of business, well, basically own the spa, is because I saw something in our community that was lacking, which is a place where women could go and try and rejuvenate themselves and make themselves feel better, make their bodies look better, and that's how I came up with the African Aesthetic Spa. Something basically because I used to travel a lot, so I went to the UK and I saw all these aesthetic spas around, and I was like, oh my God, we're lacking. Like, you can actually go in and get a skin booster for your face. And back home, I can't get a skin booster. I have to travel out of the country to get proper skin boosters, so I decided to go and do the training. Then when I did the training, I came back and I started applying some of the things that I learned in my training into my actual business, and that's what started to fuel it, because it was a gap that was in the market, which is modern aesthetic services. So basically, that's the background of the African Aesthetic Spa, but it's not that doesn't define who I am. I think I'm a very broad person across the board.
Yeah.
I do a lot of things. I have a family. I have a family that I came from. I have sisters, not just the family that I am in now, but I have sisters. Basically, I'm a whole thing. So yeah.
Yeah, and you're pursuing a doctorate.
Oh yeah, I keep on forgetting.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be a doctor, guys. Like, it's not easy. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Everybody always says medicine is hard, medicine is not easy, and it's true. It's not easy. You need to really, really put in the work. I'm constantly on a timetable because you can't do distance with medicine. You have to be there. I have to put in the extra time to study. When I have the assignments, when I have the tests, I have to do that. So, and then running a spa also, it's definitely been a challenge, but I am taking it one step at a time. Yeah.
Speaking of, having a timetable, coming up with a timetable, such you're able to, give yourself for your studies as well. How are you finding the balance between school, business, being a mom, and being a wife? Because I know all those four aspects receive a different type of Gladys.
Yeah, definitely. So, right now I look all glammed up. I can't show up in class like this because the lecturers were like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
But what I have learned, actually a saying that I learned maybe, I think, a good 15 or 12 years ago is, failing to plan is planning to fail. So come on.
The
moment you do not plan your day, the moment you do not plan your week, the moment you do not plan your month, you will not achieve anything. So you try and make a plan. If you don't manage to execute, let's say, for example, your day has 4 things. You put in those 4 things that you want to achieve by the end of the day. Even if you do not manage to achieve the 4 things, you will achieve 3 things out of the 4 things, and that's still progress. So that's something that I have learned, and it's something that I live by. I have so many notebooks. I just realized now that I have so many notebooks that are finished, but those notebooks have really helped me, because when I look back at those notebooks, I wrote everything that I needed to do for that day.
And you have done everything.
And I would cross it off, but I would make sure I tackle the main things. And when I decided to pursue this I remember you're like one of my only friends who actually knows this, and now it's coming out in the podcast that I'm doing medicine. I wanted it to be a surprise, like, oh, surprise, guys, I'm a doctor.
Wow.
But no, we're talking about it in this podcast, and I couldn't be happier to share this with you. So when I decided to do it, I knew it was going to be a challenge, but it's something that I know first, before anything, my children matter the most. So in the morning, I wake up, I'm with my kids, make sure they're okay, and I'm not going to lie, it takes a village. Basically, that's what it is, and you just have to make sure you put your checks and balances. You know what's working, you know what's not working. You show up for your family, you show up for your husband, and you also show up for work. So even at work, it's important to have people that you can delegate to. I can't just leave this place running by itself. The business is not going to run itself. The business needs someone to run it, which means you need to train people in how to run the place. You need to train people in how to manage the marketing, how to talk to people, how to welcome people when you're not around, what needs to be done. Basically, that's what's going to have this place running even when you're not around. So like, I have the business on my phone, I have the accounts to the social media. I'm able to see every time someone inboxes the page. I know what they're asking for, I know what they want. If I have time, I respond. I have CCTV everywhere that
At
I'm
home,
at
here,
home. Here
everywhere.
I have CCTV. There's no point in me not having. I will know, even like if my baby wakes up and the nanny is in the kitchen, I will call the nanny and I'll say, hey, my son is
Check on
up,
the
go and
baby.
pick him up now. I know, because like, and they're like, oh, the madam, she's not here, but she's called us, she told us we need to pick up and that's the sort of control that I feel like modern women need to have. We need to take advantage of technology. It's there for a reason. Use it to your advantage. If you need to put CCTV in your workplace because you're not around, you have to do something else, do it. You can't, you don't expect, if anything, if someone steals money, or a bag, you'll be able to say, oh wow, this person came to the spa, there was a thief. That you need to be able to have that control. And it's not just that, it's also just to make sure that everything is, people need to feel confident, people need to feel safe when they walk into a place with CCTV. Everyone knows there's cameras around. For some people, that's a lot of safety, because they feel like they can leave their bag anywhere. No one is going to just go, because then they'll just say, run back the CCTV because I want to know, and that's the sort of safe space that most of the women who come to my establishment feel. When they come here, they know it's a safe place for them and for their belongings. And to move away from the CCTV, I feel like, basically, as I say, the notebook. I'm a very traditional girl. Like, I like to write. I write everything down, and I don't even like. How we have like the notes in the phone. Like Samsung has notes and iPhone has notes. I prefer writing down on the old notebooks, but now I'm finding myself just using the phone, because like the phone is always,
it's more convenient,
it's in the pocket. So like now I'm finding everything that I need to do, I'm writing it in my notepad. And I feel like for every woman, it's all down to organization.
That's very nice. So there's no denying from the way you're speaking that you are pretty comfortable, and yet, well, your home environment is pretty comfortable, and comfortable enough for you to still be a housewife. Now, just between you and me, just
what
between
do you mean?
Well, you are a different type of housewife. Okay, let's put it at that.
I know the meals we're having every day.
Exactly. So just between you and me, I know for a fact that your husband can afford everything and afford you and everything you want. But then I feel like the biggest question for me is, what makes you so driven, even when you know that without everything else, without the money that is coming in for you, you can still, what's making you so driven to a point where you feel like you need to do everything else for yourself?
Okay. I think that's something that's very, very important, and it's actually quite interesting that you noticed that, because a lot of people don't. But I guess that just shows how deep of a friendship we have. It's what can I say? Okay, so I feel like as women, we owe it to ourselves to be our own independent women. You do not need to
Rely
on a man for everything. Okay? I'm going to give you a situation where the roles were reversed. If the world just like out of nowhere it was like, oh yeah, the men now have children, okay, and the women are the ones in charge, and then you have somebody at home and everything, they're just like, if you have okay, I'm just going to speak like I'm a woman who likes to buy my own thing when I enter a shop, and you're not going to be bothering, it's not bothering per se, but like you don't want to be the woman who's always asking for everything all the time.
Yeah.
It's not nice. And I grew up very, very comfortable.
Yeah.
My father was a manager, I'm not going to say where, but he was a manager at a very big company in Zambia, and I was very happy. He worked hard for me and my family and my parents, but I'm not ashamed to say that there was a certain time that my parents were not together. And if my mom was not educated, I don't know where I would be today. And so I learned a lot from her. My mom is a nurse, she's a civil servant, but in her being a civil servant, she was able to do a lot of things for me and my sisters. She was able to provide, and I learned something from that growing up. You don't have to always just wait on, oh, daddy, what about mom? Where's the mom in all of this? And so I want to set that example for my children. I don't want them to just look at dad and say, oh, dad does everything. What about mom? Yes, mom can be there, she can cook the meals and she can do this, but we need to set an example for strong women in our society, because a lot of the times when a woman doesn't have money, she lacks a lot of power.
Exactly.
So if you do not have money as a woman, you're unable to make your own decisions effectively. And yeah, I want to work. I went to school. I remember one of the things my dad told me before I got married was, I didn't send you to school just so that you can start crying when your boyfriend wants to break up with you. And it sunk in my head. I was like, he's very serious about this. It was like, I educated you from grade 1 all the way to university so that you could stand on your own 2 feet. And I believe that's what every parent wants for their children.
Exactly.
I don't think we take our kids to school so that they can start relying on someone else's child.
I like that you say that. I hope our viewers are paying attention and listening, because this is gold. This is actually gold. So because we have a lot of women that behave like that.
You can have a husband, but where's your own? Where does your own personality lie? What do you want to do? Because if, let's say, for example, I'm not speaking for myself, but I'm speaking for the majority of, this is what I see in our society. When people separate, the woman starts to cry.
And she gets stranded.
But you've had your whole life to build yourself. And this is why I said it's important to have a supportive partner. Not to say you should prepare for the worst. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, as women, we are also human beings.
Yeah.
And other places in the world have had, like the United States, there's a lot of liberation that goes on in the States. I'm not saying we should compare our society to theirs, because their society also has some disadvantages. But I feel like as women, we need to be independent as well. Don't just wait for, your husband to do things for you. Do the small business. It doesn't matter how small it is. I don't believe that there's a small business. Effort is effort.
You start from somewhere, because I remember where you started from. Yeah. How many times has the name changed, the spa name?
We used to be the Glam Factory.
Yeah.
Serendipity.
Yeah.
And then we settled on the African Aesthetic Spa, but we were the African Bush Spa before.
Yeah, I remember.
Now we're just at the African Aesthetic Spa. So even if you're selling, I used to sell eyeliner to my friends in high school, in college. I was like, what do the girls like here? Oh, they like putting on eyeliner. I'm going to sell the eyeliner. So I almost say the highlight. I'm going to sell them eyeliner. I'm going to sell them lipsticks. I'm going to sell them this whole things, because girls like makeup. So I said that's the fastest. And I would make my change for my break. I don't need anything else as long as I have that money to buy me the food I want. And like, I feel like as women, it's important for us to just do something. You want to go in a shop and buy your own thing without having to pick up the phone and say, hey, can you please send this for me?
All the time, send this for me. Waiting for him to send you something to do something for yourself.
It doesn't matter even if you just have a small shop, selling books and pencils and pens. If you sell hair, if you sell shoes, there's pride in that. And that is where I said everything, most of us have callings in life. your calling might be, being a housewife. It's important to also understand the depth of what it means to be a housewife, because that in itself, in as much as I'm saying women should be independent, that in itself is also a calling. And I don't want to say, oh, this is the right way or this is not the right way, but you need to understand what it is you want for yourself in life, and beginning to understand that will really reveal a lot of things for you going forward. So yeah, basically that's that. Have your own graft. It's important.
Earlier you also spoke of how supportive your husband has been.
Yes, he has.
Please tell us how his support has really helped you becoming the Gladys that we see right now.
Okay, so I'm going to give an example. Like, Miss, I'm going to. Okay, let me just say this. Most men, especially in the past, I don't know about now, when you tell them I want to be a model or I want to do modeling, the first thing that they will say is, no, why do you want to do that? That's be naked. I remember one of the first things that happened was like when I saw Miss Africa, he was like, oh, just go ahead and just apply for it. You never know. And he told me, there's no harm in trying. You fail, but if you succeed, then it was worth trying for. So, and for me, I feel like that's the sort of support that you need in a marriage. Someone who's going to push you forward, not necessarily like when they see that this is something that you can do, or at least, just be there, a listening ear. It's all about listening. Sometimes they don't even have to talk. They just listen, because that's what companionship is about.
Yeah.
You have somebody who you can share your dreams and hopes with, and they're there to say, yes, you can do this. Go ahead for your. And I remember, like, when I was on the Miss Africa stage, my husband, he was trying to call my phone, but I was taking part. He was so excited. He was like, oh my gosh, you're top. I found all the messages afterwards. He was like, you're top 10. No, you're top 15. You're top 5 now. And I was so happy. I was like, oh, he's so happy for me, and he's so proud of me. And I remember when I came back, he welcomed me. By then we're just dating, but he was like so happy for me. And I think that's the sort of support that you need from a partner. Sometimes it can be monetarily. Us who are married, when you want to start a business, if your husband is in a place where he can support you financially, it's a good thing, because at least that there's someone who's got your back. And those are the things that I feel like marriages do for women in our societies. A partner or partners should be able to support each other positively. And I'm not going to lie, we did go through the premarital counseling from church, and it was like one of the most amazing experiences. I remember, our counselors, Uncle Martin and Auntie Vicky.
From which church?
From Miracle Life. I don't go to Miracle Life, but we had counselors from Miracle Life, and they just spoke to us about, marriage life and the love languages. And I feel like incorporating God
is very
important. People need to have respect for God, because God is the one who takes and God is the one who gives. You can graft as much as you want on earth. You can try and cry for your partner as much as you want on earth. But if God decides to give it to you, he decides to give it to you. If he decides to take it away from you, he can take it away. So in everything, marriages, God should come first before everything. And that's something that I'm so grateful that I learned from those counselors, because they poured into us spirit, like, I don't know what it was like a spiritual awakening, which is very, very, which has proven to be very, very fruitful, because time and time again you go back to the teachings. So I think it's important for every marriage to have
to make God present.
Yes, to make God important, to make God a part of their marriage, because even when things go wrong, you can have something to look at and say, okay, what does God say about this matter? Is this right? Are we making the right decision? Yeah, and it really, really puts into perspective even things that you cannot communicate, God can communicate on your behalf.
I'm so proud of you. Hearing you speak, you've really grown.
I know. I feel like I'm different
person. No. You're a whole different person, and I'm so proud of you. Something I forgot to ask. Do you mind telling us how you and your husband met?
Yeah, I mind.
Okay, we'll not talk about it. But I think I remember.
Yeah.
I think I remember how.
Yeah, how?
When you're in Unza.
Yeah, I was at Unza.
I can't say it now. But yeah. I think I remember. You don't want to say it? No?
No, I don't want to say nothing.
Anyway, it was, I think, I like the way you guys met. It wasn't the normal, proper way of meeting, if I can remember.
No,
and then seeing how it's blossomed and seeing that it actually turned into a marriage is something that's very admirable. And I'm so proud of you. I remember when you were pregnant, you know, there was one time I was looking at your pictures and thinking, Gladys looks so heavy, but she's still so busy.
I was heavy.
How you were heavy?
Twins, I was heavy.
You were heavy.
I was busy. I had to keep myself busy because, you know, when you're a busybody, the pregnancy is not going to hold you back. You'll be a busybody until you're like 7-8 months.
No, but still more. I kept on thinking, Gladys, rest. I was feeling it on your behalf.
No, like, someone at the shop, like, I usually go to a shop and they were like, you know, after I gave birth, that's when they could just tell me, you know what, we thought you were going to burst.
Yeah,
why
honestly.
did you keep coming here when you were so heavy you couldn't even walk? I said, you guys, I was feeling lazy to stay at home. So yeah, that's what happened.
Was it really feeling lazy?
Yeah, like I got bored, just like not doing anything. I got bored.
I know you spoke of you know, having the right staff around you, having the right people around you to actually help you, and just be sort of an extension of you. So when you're not able to, they are able to run things, you know, despite you not being around. But then I really want you to, you know, talk about that a little more. How did that really play out for you?
You know, so I learned to depend on other people because I believe no man is an island. Like,
yeah, that's true.
I learned to depend on other people for things, for my own shortcomings, because as the business grew, it required people to be here. You can't manage to do all the treatments by yourself. You can't manage to run everything by yourself. You need people to rely on. And yeah, so I was happy enough to have, you know, the staff there, people who've been working with me for years and years and years. And I'm happy that they were there when I needed them the most. When I, you know.
What's your secret to having people around you for years?
It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. I learned to be calm myself because I used to be quite a chatterbox. I used to talk quite a lot and, you know, like get angry over small things. But I learned with leadership comes a lot of responsibility. And with responsibility or leadership, you have to be very mature and analytical, and you realize that the person next to me, in as much as I'm in this leadership position, has feelings. How do I convey what I'm trying to tell them without offending them? The moment you understand that you are not just dealing with employees but people who have feelings, it makes people understand your words or grasp your words better, you know, because you are able to break through. It's all about communication.
Yeah.
If I come to you and I'm like, Musa, and I come to you like, Musa, there's a big difference.
A big difference.
And when I learned that, I noticed most of my retention of employees is, you know, it just naturally just, I don't even know, you know, like now it's where you try and let go of someone and they're crying. Yeah, and before you let go, you try to let go, people, they'll let themselves go because you have a bad temper, you know. And so I learned that in business, and I think for me that's one thing that has really helped. Yeah.
Would you say you're naturally goal-driven or goal-oriented, or you have to keep reminding yourself?
No, I am naturally goal-oriented because I remember in primary, if I get position 3, I would cry.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So then how would you encourage other wives that are, let's say, not as goal-driven to still work towards creating their own identity outside their marriage?
I think it's all about foundation. You have to teach your children.
So basically do it for the children.
No.
Yeah?
I'm speaking about my foundation. When I was French president in grade 4. So I'm guessing it started at a very early age. During grade 7, I was in the newspaper for being one of the highest at my school.
Yeah?
Yeah, like for the grade 7 exams. And
That's
my
so
name
smart.
was printed in the newspaper, and I remember my father was so proud. He got the newspaper and he was showing everyone. And when I was in high school, I was the chess president, the very first chess president at Kasisi Girls. So I've always had that drive. It's something that's very natural. Yes, I was a prefect at my school, so it's something that's always been there. I've always just been like someone who just wants to excel, 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 and this has really propelled my personality to be where it is. Like even when I was starting the spa, I was not thinking I'm just going to start a spa and it's just going to be like I was like, no, I have to start a spa and it has to make sense. And when I stepped into the modeling industry, the same thing. I said I'm going to be on the billboards. I don't care who's doing it. I want to be on the billboards. And there was a certain time I was getting calls every day. I've just seen you in Dola. You're on the Zamto billboard. I've seen you in Mufulera. You're on the Zamto billboard. I saw you in the Shake and Sip ad. I saw you in the Brothers ad. Was that you? I don't even know how many TV commercials I did, but I made sure I was there at every casting. It wasn't favoritism. I presented myself. And I gave myself the best shot. And I believe in life, you just have to give yourself the best shot or you will regret it. The same way you went for Miss Zambia and you were Miss Zambia.
Yeah, honestly.
I mean, who would have... I was like, what? Wait. You guys, Musa is Miss Zambia. Like, I couldn't believe... I was like, what? You guys know? And I was like, going crazy in the crowd.
I remember you actually there,
yeah? I was going crazy in the crowd because it was a pageant enthusiast. I was like, oh my God, Musa has won, guys. So, like, it's about that. Like, you just need to give yourself the best shot at everything that you're doing. If it's what you want, go for it. And this is why there's courtship, because if your partner aligns with your way of thinking, everything will gel.
I like that. It really sounds as if you and your partner really found each other. That's very nice. But then how are you able to, going back on marriage, how are you able to honestly divide yourself for your partner? Because I understand you're a friend, but I'm thinking from a viewer's perspective, you really have a lot going on. And sometimes people try to say, no, a woman that's too busy, not paying attention to her husband, always, such couples always find themselves in situations where a man is trying to find solace somewhere because the wife is too driven or she's too busy. But then honestly, how are you able to divide yourself and make sure you have enough time for your husband, enough time to bond, while still not losing yourself?
No, my husband is the one who has to, find time for me because
okay,
he's
so
busy
how do
working.
you both find time for each other? What are you two doing to keep your marriage alive, the spark going?
Yeah, there's 24 hours in a day. You have to make it count. And you just have to make time. You have to make time even when you're at home, when you're not out on date night, you have to make it count. Watch a movie together, talk about how your day was. That's marriage. So the moment you stop trying, it's a problem because every marriage needs to be watered. Just like every relationship needs to be watered. So it doesn't matter if I notice that my day is too busy. As I said before, you make time. This is time for this is time for this. That's the same way with marriage. You just have to make time.
Do you and your husband have any rituals you just go by? Say, no matter what, come what may, we need to do this together. If you're called for business, it's our time together, we are going together.
Yeah, we have lunch every day together.
Every day?
Every day.
Every day?
Every day.
No matter what?
Yeah, every day. Unless he's really caught up or I'm caught up, but we have lunch every day.
That's so nice. That's so lovely. I'm so proud of you. I don't think I'll ever stop saying that. And I love that we're having this conversation because, you're genuinely someone I've found myself, I keep learning from you. I learned something very new. And honestly, having this podcast for me is a way of creating my own identity. And something I've really taken from this conversation is how you are very deliberate about your day from the time you wake up. Deliberate about what it is you want to achieve, what example you want to set for your children, what example you want to set for your staff, what example you want to set for just everybody around you. And that's something I really love. I'm really hoping our viewers are also getting that. I think for me, it's all about, for me, what I've learned from you is just basically being deliberate and not quitting, no matter how comfortable you are.
I remember something One thing my biology lecturer said, like, I didn't do well. I'm not going to lie. I fail and pass at the same time.
Well, it sounds like you always pass.
No. Like, I didn't do well. And he was like, and he like wrote the list of like everybody who was the highest. And you know what I did? Like, out of the whole class, I went and I congratulated those people. And I said, guys, congratulations. You're inspiring us to pull up our socks. And he was so happy. He said, that is the spirit of a winner. And I was like, oh, wow. You know what? Thank you, sir, because I am really, I'm trying,
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. Trying. You fail, you pick yourself up, brush the dust off, and keep going.
That's very nice. Thank you for taking time. I know you're very busy. Thank you for taking time, letting us use your space. Please tell people where they can find you, your page, everything.
Come for petties, ladies, mummies. We're waiting for you. We are in Roma, opposite Zamtel Training Center off Calais Road. You can't miss our billboard with 3 beautiful girls representing different shades of the world. The African Aesthetic Spa. We look forward to you guys coming through. And thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I'm honored.
Thank you. I have learned something. So they can also catch you on Instagram.
On Instagram at the African Aesthetic Spa, on TikTok, and on Facebook.
Well, thank you.
And my personal account, that's at Gladys Sowden.
Yeah, just in case people want to reach out and just say something about today's episode. Congratulate you. I'm sure even your Kasisi friends are just like, I know her. Yeah, it's true. She's been like that.
Yeah.
You can. Are you comfortable with telling people your personal page name?
Gladys Kayumba Sowden.
Well, for our viewers, I hope you've learned something. It's been such a lovely time getting to learn from somebody that's clearly a powerhouse. Like I said earlier on, I've really learned on how to be deliberate. I've also learned how to be kind, how you can be kind to your staff, and just everything, almost everything in between your marriage and how you're managing to just be yourself. So, for our viewers, thank you for tuning in to One Wife to Another. Don't forget that you can catch us on Facebook at One Wife to Another, Instagram One Wife to Another, YouTube One Wife to Another, TikTok One Wife to Another. For today, it's bye and have a lovely day.